video where we shall be talking about Bharata Muni's Natya Shastra. Rasa Theory by Bharata Muni. I am Dr. Padma Rao, Professor and Head of the Department of English and Research Center, Yashwant Mahavidyalaya, Nanded, welcoming all of you to this presentation. Various situations of life and emotions are expressed through music, dance, drama, as well as action. In Vedic literature as well, we find Vedic rituals, sacrificial songs, dance, and dialogue. Especially during the religious festivals and sacrifices, there were dances, songs, and drama being performed on the stage for the audience. Bharata Muni actually has systematized the rules of song, dance, and drama in his very famous treatise titled as the Natya Shastra. He has laid down the rules for the writers as well as for the actors as to how best these can be staged so that the audience can become a part of whatever is being presented on the stage, and thereby rasa nishpatti, rasa is evolved. Bharata Muni was an ancient Indian theatrologist and musicologist who wrote the Natya Shastra, a theoretical treatise on ancient Indian dramaturgy and histrionics, especially the Sanskrit theatre. Bharata is considered the father of Indian theatrical art forms. The Natyam comprises of 36 chapters and is possibly the creation of more than one scholar. The dates for all these rishis and munis is quite confusing. Somewhere it dates between 3rd century BCE to the 1st century CE. When we look at Bharata Muni's Natya Shastra, it is considered as the 5th Veda, which is called as the Natya Veda. The first being the Rig Veda, or the word and speech. The Samaveda for song is the second. Yajurveda, the art of acting, is the third. And Atharvana Veda, the elements of rasa, is the fourth. Many others like Parashara, Shilali, Tumbura, Narada, Nandi, Chandilya wrote on the principles of dance prior to Bharata. But in fact, it is Bharata who has adopted, altered, and made it a full-fledged art book on poetry and is titled as the Natya Shastra. According to Natya Shastra, all the gods requested Lord Brahman to produce something to play, which in Sanskrit is called as Krida Niyakam. That which could be seen, heard, enjoyed, and instructive, number one, which could be beneficial to the people, number two, and which could be regarded as the 5th Veda, number 3. Now, this was the question that was raised by the gods to Lord Brahman. So, Brahma created this Veda, which is called as the Natya Veda, with many stories from epics and legends, and to lead people on the virtuous path. He then asked Bharata Muni to make this art known to mankind by scripting it or by writing it. When we look at chapter 1, it is called as Natyotpatti. Natya plus Utpatti is called as Natyotpatti, which obviously talks about how Natya or Nataka comes into existence. Chapter 1 has 127 shlokas explaining the origin of drama at the court of Indra. The sages, including Atreya, ask 5 questions. The 5 questions ask, how was the Natya Veda created, number 1? Number 2, for whom was it meant? Number 3, what are the parts of it? Number 4, what are its extent? And number 5, how is it to be applied in the day-to-day life? Now, the answers are scattered throughout Natya Shastra, but all these 5 questions. What are the 5 questions? How was the Natya Veda created? For whom was it meant? What are the parts of it? What are its extent? And how is it to be applied in the day-to-day life? These are the 5 questions that were asked and are answered all through the Natya Shastra. The answers to these questions are scattered throughout the Natya Shastra, but we'll find these answers. When we talk about the nature and purpose of Natya, nothing is there that is not found in Natya Shastra. It is the imitation of all the three worlds, Bharata says. What is Natya? Natya is the imitation of all the three worlds, the world of gods, the world of men, and also the world of demons. And it includes all the sciences, art, as well as craft, which talk about knowledge, learning, device, action, and craft. So, everything from A to Z of what exactly art is, how can best be created, and how can it be enacted on the stage is all discussed in the book of Natya Shastra. When we talk about the themes that are covered in Natya Shastra, the themes are taken from epics, history, Vedas, and Shastras and are presented in a very beautiful and enjoyable way. How should they be presented to us? They should have four important aspects. Number one, Angika. Angika is the physical movements or the gestures that you have to show, an actor has to show rather, on the stage. Then Sattvika. Sattvika is the expression of your emotion or the emotional reaction of the characters. Then the third is called Vachika. Vachika talks about how best you can pitch your voice, how to modulate your speech, how to intonate an expression so that you will have the exact emotion expressed. And then finally, Aharya. Aharya talks about the makeup and the costume that the characters have to put on while playing the play on the stage. So, Angika, the physical movements or gestures of the characters, Sattvika, the emotional expression, Vachika, the voice modulation or the tone modulation of the characters, and Aharya is the makeup and the costume that they put on the stage, are very important, which will make the entire renderation an enjoyable act. Chapter 2 talks about the Natya Mandapa. Natya Mandapa is the stage. It has got 105 shlokas, and there are three varieties of Natya Mandapa according to Bharatamuni. Number one is Vikrishta. Vikrishta is the rectangular type of mandapa, as you could see on the slide. Then you can have Chaturasra. Chaturasra is the square type of mandapa. And then you have Traisra. Traisra is the triangular type of mandapa. So, three varieties of stage can be possible: the rectangular, the square, and the triangular. And this mandapa is to be decorated according to the theme that you are putting on the stage. The paintings on the walls, the ceiling decorations, the entrances for the king, common people, the rear and the front stage are appropriately to be decorated so that it looks exactly the same and is in sync with the theme of the drama. The paintings on the wall, the rear and front stage, the common people, and the decorations that you maintain are very important in making the stage look exactly the same. As S.T. Coleridge says, willingly the audience will suspend in the disbelief world of the Natya. The chapter 3 talks about the Ranga Devata and its puja. There are 102 shlokas in chapter 3 of Natya Shastra, and it has a number of chants for Lord Brahma, Shiva, Vishnu, Brihaspati, and Ganesha, so that the presentation of the drama will go on uninterrupted. Chapter 4 talks about the Tandava. Tandava is a sort of dance description which extends to 320 shlokas with 108 postures and 32 gestures. All these will exactly communicate what the characters want to communicate to the audience, especially the emotion and the inner thoughts. Chapter 5 of Natya Shastra talks about the Purva Ranga Vidhana. The Purva Ranga Vidhana has got two important aspects: the Nandi and the Prasthavana. Nandi is the introduction as to what the drama is about, and Prasthavana will give you the explanation of the characters. The chapter 5 of Purva Ranga Vidhana is described in 174 shlokas by Bharatamuni. Then he talks about the entire chapter scheme. Chapter 6 talks about the answers that the sages have asked the questions for in order to produce the emotions on the stage. Chapter 7 deals with all types of bhavas, the feelings. Chapter 8 talks about what action is. Chapter 9 explains gestures or the hand movements. Chapter 10, it talks about the footwork or the movement of the characters on the stage. Accordingly, chapter 11 talks about the stage space. Chapter 12 talks about different types of characters, the comic, the tragic, the tragicomic, the important characters, the sub characters, and so on. Chapter 13 talks about stage directions in detail. Now, every director who is directing a film or maybe a drama should be well versed with all these aspects in order to direct this drama in an appropriate way. Chapter 14 talks about the music that is to be played as with respect to the emotion that is to be evoked. Chapter 15 talks about the meter. Chapter 16 talks about the alankaras or the figures of speech. In Sanskrit, Bharata Muni has given 36 alankaras, which he discusses in detail with many examples. Chapter 17 talks about the modulation of voice, musical notes. Chapter 18 talks about the Dasa Rupakas, the 10 different types of dramas. Chapter 19 gives a detailed description of Sandhi, and 20 gives a detailed description of Samasa, which are the important aspects of Sanskrit grammar. Chapter 21 and 22 talk about the Aharya, Abhinaya, makeup, costume, expressions, etc. of the characters. Accordingly, chapter 23 talks about the courtesans and the common folk, the dressing that is to be maintained by them, the expressions that are to be done by them, and so on. Chapter 24 talks about the characters of men and women. Chapter 25 is Chitra Abhinayas, which talk about the soliloquies and asides, which are the important aspects of drama. Chapter 26 talks about the Vikruti Vikalpa, or the animals and the birds that are to be used to communicate the exact expressions, exact emotions, and the exact feelings of the characters. Chapter 27 is Natya Siddhi, which is the most important chapter in the entire Natya Shastra, as to how we get the exact emotion that is communicated by the characters on the stage and enjoy the play. That's the reason why the success of the play depends upon the Natya Siddhi that the audience get. Chapter 28 is Jati Vikalpanam, which uses both music, instrumental, as well as vocal that are to be used appropriately in order to introduce the themes or change the scenes. Chapter 29 talks about the Tala Atyodha, which is the stringed instruments. So he gives a detailed description of how many types of instruments are there, how many types of stringed instruments are there, how many types of wind instruments are there in chapter 30. All these instrumental description has been given very detailed by Bharata Muni, which could be appropriately used between the scenes and while the action is going on the stage in order to give the emotion that has to be generated among the public. Chapter 31 talks about the laya and tempo of the instrumentalist. Different types of songs are explained in chapter 32. The qualification of vocalists and the instrumentalists are also given by Bharata Muni in chapter 33. The percussion instruments like drums or maybe keyboard is given in detail in chapter 34. The role of Sutradhara and actors is discussed in chapter 35, while in chapter 36 it is Natya Shapa. Bharata Muni talks about the curse of drama when it came down to earth from heaven, that the actors could never become rich, the actors could never enjoy their life. The last, he talks about the benefits of drama. Exactly like Aristotle summarizes what drama is, what action is, what is imitation, and what is the expression, what are the emotions and bhavas of the characters that are expressed, and of course, the purgation that he talks about, or the purification of emotions that he talks about with a cathartic effect. Bharata Muni also gives a very detailed description of everything that the stage requires, ending the Natya Shastra with the benefits of drama. The Rasa Sutra that he discusses in chapter 6 is very important. Vibhava, Anubhava, Vyabhichari Bhava Sanyogad, Rasa Nishpattihi is the most important sutra that Bharatamuni has given. The aesthetic relish is produced. Rasa Nishpatti would mean the aesthetic relish or the enjoyment by a combination of three things: Vibhava, which are the determinants or the cause; Anubhava, which are the consequence or the effect of it. So the cause is there, the effect is there. And the transitory states or fleeting emotions, which are called as the Vyabhichari bhavas, the expression of emotions. So the cause, the effect, and the emotions. A perfect combination of the cause, effect, and emotions of the characters that are displayed on the stage will definitely give rasa, or the enjoyment, or maybe the cathartic feeling for the audience. Thank you very much for watching this video. See you in the next video. Bye for now. Namaskaram.